Christmas, and I guess, yeah, there's wishing merriness and all that. So anyway, since it's Christmas and all, I got a lot of free time, and it's pretty quiet around these parts where I'm hanging out. So I got good Wi-Fi connection, and I got inspired to talk about the restrictions for city courts in Louisiana. It's things I've thought about over the years. Okay, this has been going on since 2022. And I just want to add that I've met inmates who have been in jail since 2022. I've been in and out 3 times. And there's guys that have been in there the whole time practically since I've been arrested. Okay, I see there's some responses. Let's see, somebody's asking me how I'm doing. Yeah, I'm doing better. I got a tooth that may need to be pulled out. It got really swollen. I'm kind of committed to doing that. And then there's respect out of from somebody in Los Angeles. Yeah, I drove this van from San Diego to Washington. Get a good civil lawyer. I don't know. I think that the AIs are improving and can take that over eventually. I don't know why we need to rely on humans for that anymore. We don't really need humans for a lot of that white collar stuff. And isn't that a relief? Don't people normally worship the white collar employees? I I now am confident to say that I don't. A lot of them, and I guess even, well, it's still, you still need the blue collar to do the work that's necessary, but at least you know more about what the blue collar do. Uh, yeah, so just go between the different AIs, get different opinions, and talk to the people. I've been learning about my situation with the health problem, but I want to discuss that more on my health channel than anything. Here, I'm here to talk about what I've been noticing on the limitations with city court. And let's see, I told it to structure. I made it AI to structure what I talk about in a way that can make sense. So I'll just start it out and see how it looks. Data centers are draining. Yeah, I know that data centers are taking as much electricity as the size of small towns. So that's happening right now. I mean, cars used to take a lot of make a lot of smog, and then people fought back against all the excessive energy consumption from the smog producing cars, and now we got more restrictions on that, and I expect that to happen for for AI as well. The amount of energy it takes, I expect that to be restructured and possibly reduced in some ways. I mean, yeah, we're in the early stages of it. Did we give up on a lot of the things we're in the early stages of? I mean, there's still a lot of promise for the future on that type of technology. So let's see. I want to explain what happened to me. Yep, Merry Christmas. Let's see. Did you learn any people skills? Nope. Nope. Jail people skills is a lot different than on the outside. I just walk away from them people usually. You're going to be rude. Yeah, you kind of have to say things that other people don't like sometimes. You know, that's the problem with bullies. You tell bullies things that they don't like to hear sometimes. I mean, but I guess you could try to use some. I had to use jail politics in discussion. There's no talking about how much I didn't like smoke. Okay, I couldn't talk about my hatred of dope smoking. I couldn't just go up to people and tell them to stop. I kind of told some guys that I didn't like it, and he asked me if I'm gonna tell, and I said, "Well, I'm telling you." Okay, that's. Am I gonna tell He's like kind of asking if I'm gonna tell the guards. Yeah, no, I didn't get my tooth fixed. I'll talk about that later. I want to give it a couple of days. I got some ideas on that. I might not get that tooth pulled as much as I suffered in the past, especially in jail with all the pain. That was difficult. So I want to explain what happened to me not as a legal technicality, but as a lived experience inside a court system that operates without transparency, without public oversight, and without meaningful checks on its power, on its own power. This is not about whether someone likes me or agrees with me. This is about whether a courtroom still functions as a public institution or whether it has become a closed administrative process where the accused has fewer rights than the system enforcing them. Yep, this is, I'm using ChatGPT for this, so I'm reading off of ChatGPT. I wrote my notes, but I thought they were a little too discombobulated, so I've decided to just I told ChatGPT just to arrange it in a way that can make more sense. So I read it through. It looks like it's pretty accurate on what I wrote. Let me start with access. Okay. There were no Zoom hearings. There were no electronics allowed in the courtroom. There were no cameras allowed at the front doors. My voice recorder was seized. I was denied electronic notes. I was required to rely on paper notes while knowing that my ability to even handle those notes depended on the prosecutor's discretion. This is not about convenience. This is about control over how someone can prepare and present their defense. The judge preferred that I sit through trial in a jail jumpsuit, fully handcuffed to the waist, with limited hand freedom. Whether I could freely shuffle my notes, something basic to any defense, was not a judicial decision. It was left to the prosecutor. So I'll just say that the judge preferred it, but the prosecutor had more say-so than the judge on whether I was restrained or not. So that was interesting. During my contempt of court hearing, the judge kept me in the handcuffs, restrained to my waist. And so I couldn't shuffle my notes very good. He asked me what I was reading off of, and then I said my notes, because it was just something that he preferred, and I saw in the law that it's something that is prejudice, and something I would have brought up in court that hey, I'm in shackles. I'm in a jumpsuit. This is prejudicing me right at the start, just on the appearance alone. Of course, there was nobody in the observation room. There was no jury, no public notification of hearings, no public gallery, no searchable case record in district court, no free lawyer. This means no community oversight, no peer judgment, and no meaningful public record. Justice was not blind, it was invisible. So they like this, the courts like to say justice is blind, but it was invisible in city courts in Louisiana. This city court claims limited jurisdiction. Only ordinance violations are heard. They can only hear certain misdemeanors, and of a maximum sentence of 6 months. So that's the city court's limitation, and they don't even seem to hear ordinance violations. They skipped over the ordinance for the failure to ID law. There's an ordinance for it as well, which doesn't cover failure to ID while being detained. It covers failure to ID after being arrested, but in the state law it says failure to ID while being detained or after being arrested. So the city had 12 years, because this new law by the state legislatures was written in about 2010. So the city council had over 10 years, plenty of time to adjust their ordinance to align with the state law, and they didn't. And I think that's probably by their own choice. So they chose to only keep it as a failure to ID after being arrested. And so then the city judges conveniently ignore the ordinance and go for the state law instead. And I'm being told by professionals that, oh, it's no big deal. That's the city judge's choice, regardless of whatever the ordinance says. I wasn't being charged with the ordinance, so what? But I mean, why make ordinances? And then I'm hearing, so what? So what if they make ordinances? It's like I don't understand. The judge can pile on contempt charges, stretching punishment beyond the 6-month limit. So while the court claims to be limited, its consequences are not. And I should ask ChatGPT again. I got so many questions. And despite this, the judge cannot dismiss the case without the prosecutor's consent. And see, that's a limitation in city courts. The city judge can't just dismiss the case for prejudice or lack of evidence. The prosecutor decides whether it's prejudice or lack of evidence. I don't even know what the judge is doing there, honestly, in city court, because the prosecutor makes all the calls. But that's not how it is in district court. That is not a separation of powers. That is dependency. They are depending on powers. Hey, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I did the time. If you don't like it, I shouldn't have went to the, okay, don't go to libraries either. Don't do this and that. Well, no, for the ordinances, I studied the ordinances while in jail for other cities. Every city's got their own ordinance. So you look at the ordinances for other cities, some have adopted the failure to ID while being detained or being arrested. Okay, some cities, such as Lake Charles, where the Third Circuit Court of Appeals is located, they actually adopted while detained or arrested. You got to show ID, but not all cities have. Okay, some cities like Shreveport have not adopted that. The very city, I think, that Judge Barber works out of, that hasn't adopted that as a part of their ordinance. Failure to ID while detained or under arrest. So, and they've had a lot of years to change, and some have not changed. Okay, so if we were in Lake Charles, they could cite me the ordinance, and be safe with the detainment issue. But since they don't have it in the ordinance in Natchitoches, they become more reliant on the state legislature writing the rules for them, and giving up more of their power to the state rule than their own. They're supposed to be a home charter. We're supposed to be our own governments and stuff. But yeah, it's just the city is more dependent on the states than other cities. I mean, I think this city of Natchitoches is more dependent not only on the state, but on grants. The mayor bragging about winning grant after grant for this and that, which, I mean, they're most likely funneling that money around, because the organizations work with each other, so the money gets spent with other organizations through trading and services and stuff. It's not just the money's being offloaded to other organizations. They're well, if they are documenting it and sharing that information with the public, you could see how it's not all going straight to one project that they might have won a grant for. Yeah, there's lots of there's a Pop-Tarts. I don't recall seeing any Pop-Tarts on the commissary. I wouldn't have chosen them. I used to eat them as a kid. The sugar hurts my teeth too much. So let's see. I was not allowed to transfer my case to district courts. Yet I've heard of cases where courts decide on their own whether to transfer cases between city court and district courts. And for example, let me just check. For example, this one guy came to me about disciplining a child, and he wanted to know how long he faced in jail. And that's what most of the inmates want to know. How long am I going to be in jail? And I'm like, okay, let's look at the law. And it says clearly that he could use as a defense that he was disciplining a child. He was in his own home, but instead he was being charged with some kind of abuse. The child called in the cops on him. He sat in jail for a few months, well, at least a month with me, and I asked him to look up his name on the computers at the district courts, and he had somebody do that. And his name was not on the district courts. So they asked about that, and apparently the clerk of court there, maybe David Stamey, told him that they're trying to decide if he should be in city courts or district courts. They couldn't decide. All right. The courts are taking it upon themselves to. He sat in jail for a month, and they didn't even have him on the record anywhere. And they're saying they couldn't decide whether city court or district court. And there's a separation between recordation or documentation between city court and district court. And this is the very reason why there shouldn't be a separation between these two entities. Okay, they're doing their own thing. And when they got cases where they're trying to decide which court he should be in, because he got arrested in the city, but it was like originally serious enough, they thought, as like a felony or a higher misdemeanor, to put him through district court. They later find that maybe he should be just cited with a smaller charge and then possibly kicked to city court. But they waited a month just not doing anything, just sitting here calling it a deciding whether to put his case in the city court and just not doing anything. Okay? It's a poor administration process. Especially when they get really confused. I mean, they get confused on a daily basis, okay? But when there's real hard to decide on subjects, they just have their hands tied. Their brains get twisted. They can't figure it out. I told them, if they're thinking about putting them in city court, fight it. I mean, you don't want to. You're more likely to be found guilty in city court than you are district court. So, at least maybe you could write a motion, or your lawyer write a motion to try to keep it in the district court. And where's our choice? Okay, where was I saying? Yeah, I've heard of cases, yeah, where they decide that the courts decide for you which court you should be in, city court or district court in Louisiana. I don't know what other states have that set up. They make the decisions about a lot of the things that they should have more oversight on, or more oversight overlooking what they're doing. So here's the question: why does a court get to decide where my case belongs, but I don't? If jurisdiction determines rights, procedures, and visibility, then that decision should not be one-sided. It's all one-sided in Louisiana, and it's like, what, the people love them for that and can let it continue. It's just incredible. Let's see. The city judge can access the NCIC, a national criminal database, even across state lines. But I was not entered into the Department of Corrections system after my conviction. Why does it matter? Because the DOC status opens access to re-entry programs. DOC status allows training and support. DOC status allows outside agencies like Veterans Affairs to even see you. Okay, blueberry Pop Tarts. Okay, I can actually read this for some reason. My eyes are a little better, I guess. Let's see, harassing librarians. I've been harassing some librarians. That's just not posted yet. It's a okay. So a VA representative told me she couldn't see me as an inmate at all because she could only see DOC inmates. She only knew I was jailed because I emailed her from inside the jail. I had a friend's. She gave me an email to the VA representative, and then I contacted her and had a meeting. But she looks through the DOC numbers and doesn't see me. So people who are convicted for 9 months under city court are extra invisible. Okay, it's an invisible. I would call it a tribunal. Okay, it's very much like a tribunal from back in the slavery days, which is a part of our Louisiana history that I'm working towards on my years. Or I'm at what 1820 or so. The tribunals come up about the 1840s, 1850s. They start being mentioned more in the Supreme Court's activity, and that's a quiet court. Okay, that's one where they don't advertise when they have these cases heard in their courts. They don't record them. They don't allow the public to witness them. There's just a lot of silence, and it's all one-sided, of course. It's just like pretty much the administrative process, and it's been going on since the slavery days. It continues. I mean, we're talking about a system that hasn't really changed, but they probably would argue that they have made positive changes, but I don't see it in comparison to the history. Let's see. So here's the contradiction. The court extends its reach nationally through the NCIC. The city uses resources to extradite on low-level misdemeanors, but it avoids DOC classification, likely because it costs money. Okay, it's free to put me on the NCIC. It's all fun and games for them. But then when it comes to a real conviction for 9 months, I don't qualify for the DOC to be on that system so that I can have more access to programs. Instead, I kind of sit in this purgatory watching all these other DOC inmates get shipped off to programs and other jails and stuff. Well, I just sit in a purgatory the whole time. And it's very cost effective for the city to have that. Let's see. Somebody was at a Pop-Tart store. I've never heard of that. That's a cucumber. If it's not a court of record, they have no authority. Yeah, tribunals, try to tell that to the people in charge of tribunals. In fact, in our slavery days, they had 2 judges that had to sign off on the decision for a tribunal. So that's reassuring to have 2 of those corrupt judges sign off on it. All right. So let's see. Avoids. If I'm going to be treated as a national criminal record entry, then the case should be serious enough to qualify for DOC level oversight and protections. You can't have maximum punishment visibility with minimum accountability. Okay? They maximize my punishment visibility by putting me out in a national database, but then it turns around, oh, it's minimal accountability. I'm just in this weird state of being stuck in jail for a 9-month sentence without the I'd say the benefits of having a DOC number, because a lot of these guys were getting into programs like people addicted to drugs or whatever, and other programs. Find a you can get into a work program, get into re-entry programs for a 9-month sentence. That's a long time. I needed some kind of re-entry. I was really disoriented when I got out. Let's see. A sentence exceeding 6. And this is my opinion. Let's see. Jurisdiction abuse and public interest. A sentence exceeding 6 months should trigger a reclassification hearing. That didn't happen. because they don't have anything like that in place. Instead, jurisdiction was stretched informally, quietly, and without review. At some point, this stopped serving the public interest and started looking personal. Judge Barber, Owsley, Prosecutor Benjamin. Either this was a personal vendetta or the city of Natchitoches endorses these practices. Both possibilities are alarming. So I'm talking like the mayor, approving that city resources be used for the city police to drive to Kansas to pick me up and use the resources that taxpayers cover. But it's probably not a big deal to taxpayers when they really rely more on grants. If it's more the people who pay the grants who should be more upset than the city taxpayers. The people who award the grants, this money is really being funneled to, or their money is being funneled to this activity. Ask ChatGPT to add some Mitch Hedberg style. Well, you could do that. Yeah, you got certain personalities you can ask it to mimic. I thought Grok was supposed to be really good at that. Every AI has its own its own type of focus. Let's see. And finally, there's the silence. Local news doesn't ask these questions. They tend to side with authority and blame the accused. And yeah, that's all of them too. I seen the news websites. I watch news on TV a lot. There's a lot of praising for cops and a lot of blaming the inmates, especially those inmates that escaped down in New Orleans while I was there. The news blamed them for escaping. Not the overcrowding, not the over-detainments, being over-detained in jail past their release dates, not the over lockdowns, the excessive lockdowns without being able to go outside and get some fresh air. None of that. It was the inmates' fault. They were being treated so nice in there. It's questionable why they bothered to escape. Closing. All right. This isn't about guilt or innocence. It's about whether the courts can operate without public notice, restrict speech and documentation, control physical movement during defense, block transfers, expand punishment beyond jurisdiction, and avoid oversight, all at the same time. If that's acceptable, then this isn't justice. It's administration. So the city court, it's more like city administration, and it's a wing of the mayor's office. All right, even though the city judge runs for an election, he's still under. There's still a lot of his resources that are under the control of the mayor. Okay, the mayor outranks him, and I was seeing some kind of news story about how the city clerk. They were trying to decide if the city clerk should be appointed by a city manager instead of the city judge. But that was a top for in Texas, because Texas has a tendency to be more fair. Even though some people say that they think it's so horrible in Texas, you haven't been to Louisiana. You don't understand how bad the difference is. There's cities in Texas that will actually consider allowing or voting on whether a city court clerk should be appointed by the city manager instead of being brought in by the city judge, the elected city judge, if so that's what they do. So it's an administrative court, the city court. and the public should decide whether that's the system they want. Well, I mean, with as little transparency as there is, it seems maybe like it could be hard for the public to make that decision. Maybe the public's happy with not knowing too, because there seems to be a lot of locals who prefer privacy, and then that when they want personal privacy, they somehow that somehow reflects on the privacy that the government's also enjoying at the expense of that. Let's see. Let's see if okay. So I guess that's all I had kind of summarized. I had a whole lot of stuff. Let's see. The judge. Yeah, the judge can stretch a 6 month charge into 9 months. That was a surprise to me. Let's see, right? It's their fault. The jails aren't redrumming people. Reclassifying maybe is a common now. Yeah, there's administration of justice. There's not much for defense that you can put up as a part of their administrative remedies. The judges want to follow they say they want to follow the law, and based on the information they have and whatever contradictory information you can bring forth. I mean, I guess they'll hear it, but they've a lot of times they've already made up their decision just to make the job easier for themselves. Did I have to? Nope. There's no Aryan nation. Everybody got along with the races. This is jail. This wasn't. This wasn't prison. This is jail. A lot of guys got shipped off to prison that they waited in jail. But I mean, there was only like, say, maximum of 5 out of 32 were whites the whole time I was there. And what Snakadish's racial profile, what do they say? Demographics. What are the demographics in Natchitoches? It's like 50% white, 50% black, right? But you don't see that in the jail. You see that with the guards, at least. There might have been a higher ratio of white guards, over 50% white guards possibly, or at least 50% white guards, but the whole time, every cell I was in, it was 15% white. So there was a big difference. Let's see. Merry Christmas. Yeah, it's Christmas. It's a quiet day. Yeah, I'm still near Portland. I got I'm waiting on paperwork of various things. I got this this local homeless mail system that they got set up around here. I'm gonna take advantage of, and I got to take care of paperwork. I'm scrambling for documentation. Things have expired. Things are about to expire because I sat on my thumbs for 8 months. So now I'm scrambling to get things in order, and to try to acquire more resources that I used to have. It's going to be a long time before I get a drone again. I'm missing 3 cameras. It's all gone. The meth heads can thank Natchitoches for the generosity of Judge Barber and this arrest. To thank him, I mean, it's, it was the Kansas people, the Kansas cops, could be also called the generous cops, and these are cops trying to fight this drug problem, but they put they also help it too in a lot of ways. I mean, with their over policing and trying to stop the drug trade, they also get other people caught up in their as what do they call it, other people, not casualties, just cannon fodder. I'm just cannon fodder in their fight against the drug abuse, which it's not going to stop anytime soon. The way it's going in jail, they got they got ways, a great system for drug trade in jail that'll be going for a long time. The way it looks, it's something that would take a lot of extra resources that they needed in the past, that they didn't have in the past, that they need more of now, because of how this drug trade can be hidden so well. I mean, it's just regular pieces of paper. I've never seen inmates so excited to get a CDL book. How to drive a truck, how to learn the CDL license book, a big thick book like that I saw it get brought into the dorm, and just inmates fighting for it. They're like, "Give me that," you know, and they're like, hold on, settle down. We'll go through this, page by page." Well, I mean, what happened was, I mean, there was dope put in there, and they were excited for the dope. I never seen that book after they were fighting over it on that day it was brought in. I don't know what happened to that book. I'd have been like, I would have liked to have taken a look at that CDL book, but it disappeared after that. Nobody was breaking it open to read it. They went through it once to look for dope paper, and of course, smoke started billowing into the air but within an hour afterwards. So, I mean, it's easy to hide in a guard facilitated that trade. They should be charged as a dealer. And Captain Glover talks tough about busting these guys, but I never hear about them being busted. I will say though that I did see in the news. I mean, sometimes you can't hide it, but one of the guards got busted for stealing from inmates' lockers. So what I'm thinking is, yeah, with Pig Trader, he helped out a lot. My bank card is missing, and I'm like, wait, maybe there's a connection there. Maybe my bank card is missing because that guard took it. Because the people who helped me, who got my stuff, what I was able to bring to the jail, uh, I know I had my bank card. I know I brought my bank card to the jail, but it came up missing afterward. I have to get a new one. I'm living off of cash, so everything in my bank I'm struggling with. Somebody mentioned that I should buy through the I could connect my bank account to Walmart and then buy by pickup. So I've been doing that a couple of times to save on my cash. But I'm wondering if a guard could have taken my bank card. Okay, that's something that I'd like to call the jail about, and I'll mention that person specifically. I forget their name. It was actually a name that Pig Trader put into the post section for this channel, and it took me a while to realize that maybe I was one of the victims of this thieving, but I can't seem to get connected with this one. Oh, here we go. Get connected. So, yeah, it was it was one of the city marshals who got the city marshals is stealing. City marshals sitting on my voice recorder. I haven't called them about that. I tried calling the police about my bond because I'm the one being punished. Or I mean, as a bondsman, I'm being fined, but as the convicted, I'm not getting a fine. I find that an interesting that to be an interesting way to do things. Let's see. That's just how the city courts operates. They got weird ways. Let's see. It's not too far down. Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. Correctional officer arrested for allegedly stealing from prisoner. Okay, in Natchitoches. See, some female. So she just stole from an inmate, was missing money from their property upon release. Yeah, and I'm missing a bank card. So what's the deal with that? All right. I want to ask about Moesha. All right. And see if there's anything related. I mean, there might be other guards involved with that, or she might have done it. It's missing. So, oh yeah, I'm 50 to yesterday too. So, entering these older years, I'm I got to be more careful about what I do. I look at the 40-year-olds in jail as an age where they're still trying to prove something, like they're young, but at 50 now, I don't even want to try that. So I just want to negotiate with anybody who's trying to act tough with me. And there's been plenty of people trying to act tough with me. I try to talk them down more than fight them. But it's nice to be bigger than a lot of them people. And it's because I was getting a lot of help with commissary. I was able to spend a little bit more money, I think, than the average person in commissary. They always talked about making stow, making stow. I made stow this week, or I can't make stow. I pretty much I'm 51. Oh wow, what a surprise! That's not what my mom would tell you. I made stow every week, and I was able to eat. But I've also gotten stolen from. People who make store get stolen from as well. Let's see, Pig Trader. Oh yeah, I bought 3 blankets now. I think I need 5. 3 is not enough, so I just I'll have to buy them off of the pickup through Walmart. Just continue to buy some more blankets, because this is difficult. Yeah, thank you for the donation. That helps. That'll go towards blankets for sure. I'm getting, because it's not going to freeze around here. This is an area close enough to the Pacific where it doesn't freeze. It's going to rain a lot, but it's not going to freeze. So it's pretty careful. I could be I could survive. I did wake up 2 nights ago shivering. I don't want that. And then dealing with I'll talk about it a little bit. Dealing with this facial swelling from the infected tooth. The infected tooth is straight up from jail. I mean, I broke it once and I took care of it. It didn't get infected when I broke my tooth back in 2014. And I would get food stuck in there and I could handle it. But as soon as I get thrown in jail for 8 months, I can't handle it anymore. We're not allowed metal pieces. We're not allowed floss. And I tell the nurses right away within the first month that this is a problem. They just tell me that I need to get it pulled and that they don't have anything else for me. And there was no dentist anyway. The whole time I was there was no dentist. So I suffered a lot. And that's the swelling, the pain. So, but once I got my magnets, once I get my hands back on my magnets and make sure I could I can handle that better. I took away the pain. There's been absolutely only one time I had pain after the jail, but that's it. And then it's just been the swelling after that. These 5 I wouldn't mess with electric blankets. That's for like maybe when it gets down into the 40s. Electric blankets are good down to about the 40s. But once you get below freezing, they're worthless. Okay, the electricity is weak. The heating is not enough. It's more about just piling on layers and layers of blankets when you get into the 20s, the 10s, the zeros. Okay, electric blankets only work to a point. Just like electric cars, electric hand warmers, cooking, the electric blanket can work during midday, maybe 3 p.m. when it's at its hottest during the daytime, but at night when it's dropped down to below freezing. It's just not worth it. I don't bother. I'm not using this car to warm up. I'm not turning it on to warm up. I'm just going to rely on blankets and insulation. So yeah, that's let's see. That's yeah. Uh, did he? Okay. So yeah, I guess I covered what I wanted to talk about. This was live. I don't know. I just name this. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in jail, and I don't think this is ever going to happen again in any other states. Okay, 35. All right, it's still above freezing, but I don't think this will ever happen in any other state. Okay, I'm just going to say that it hasn't happened. I've never spent so much time in jail. This Louisiana has dominated the amount of time I've ever spent in jail with anybody, with any states. Louisiana's dominated. And I mean, that's just for me, for anybody. If you want to make a comparison, I'm trying to make the best comparison and present it to the public as best I can. I know out of 7 arrests, Louisiana's just been by a long shot the worst, and on every level too. It's not just even the amount of time you spend. It's overcharging, the over reporting by the librarian, overcharging by the cops, over prosecution by the prosecutor, over sentencing by the judge, and then over detainment. All right, there's over detainment because, and I'd like to make another video about that, talking about the amount of time I spent. I was sentenced to 270 days, but I spent 278 days in jail. Okay, the over detention problem in this state. 1 out of 4 inmates are over detained. So in a 32-man dorm, that's 8 out of 32, and I was one of them. And usually it's a month. I was told that I wasn't even on the release, like a release form saying that I was supposed to be released on December 8th. And in fact, if they didn't even count the 26 days that I was in already as credits, I would still be in jail until tomorrow. And then tomorrow would be finally my release date. And then I would be facing the over detention part of my sentence, which could be another month, up to another month. If nobody from the outside said anything, if this is all done by their system, they would have forgotten about me, especially being in city court, and I would have sat a good month after my release date of December 26th. So and they just they just release you. They don't give you any money. They don't to eat. They don't give you a bus ticket. You're just thrown out into the city to be at the mercy of the cops. And seeing you vulnerable after sitting in jail for months and months, not having any resources, all taken away. Because I read about Kansas law for car abandonment. They only need a month. After a month they could take the car and sell it. Okay, and not just the car, everything in it. All my personal belongings gone if that car went to impound. Okay. Yeah, my driver's license is renewed. I just need a good address for it. It's renewed, but I need to update the address better. And so that was a struggle. I can't I mean, a lot of my paperwork was a real scramble after getting out. It's the stuff you just don't do while in jail. And that's what jail does. That's what Louisiana does to a lot of people. That's why there's a lot of recidivism. So I've seen a lot of guys return because they can't get things in order. They can't make their rental payments, so they get evicted. They miss out on subscriptions or just all kinds of. They're making payments on things that they need to stop making payments on, like cars or whatever, because if they're gone for a good year, what's the sense of making payments? And where are you getting that money anyway? So there's a lot of struggle with these excessive long sentences, plus the over detention afterward, which could go on a month. And it's all a part of the administrative problem. The administration can't seem to do math. Okay, the records department at the Natchitoches Parish Jail, they can't do math. I present it to them, and they still can't figure it out. But I will say that I found it interesting how Miss Davis, she could come to the door and say November 30th. Okay, she came to the door and she said the 30th, and I'm like, what? The 30th? And I had some guy heard it. She said the 30th. So I assumed that was the date I was going to be released. And so I look into that a little bit more. And a week later, I find out that it's still December 8th. She come to the door to tell me the 30th, but didn't change it. Stuck with the December 8th release date. And even then, that wasn't put into the system. I was told that people from the outside, Andrew looked into it and found that they didn't have that properly documented, and so he had to try to get that fixed, which they listened to him. Andrew was able to convince them to release me on the 8th as it shows as part of the calculation. But I got no credit for being in the Kansas jail at all, and I spent a week in there. So the time I spent, if you include the time I spent in the Kansas jail, with the entire time, with the 26 days and all of that, I should have been released November 30th. And then I would have argued even further about the early part of November should have been the release date, because I did get sentenced twice for this. Judge Ousley sentenced me for 30 days, and Judge Barber sentenced me for 30 days. So I thought those should be combined as 60 days in all, going towards the credit as well. So that's just the math that they have, and they won't accept help. And that's something that, there's a case involved with that I'd like to go into more detail with. There's a case that just came out September 2025 called, let's see, against, I forget the name of it. It was a case in September 25. It was just about over-detention, though. I remember that. Cash flow, 2 ridiculous police interactions. Cash flow problem, right? Because is a cash flow positive? I don't know. It's been kind of a struggle. It's only positive because I've been cutting back on how much I spend. My hair hasn't been washed in weeks now. I'm asking ChatGPT about ideas for that. I think I might like to make a video about that. I'm suffering. I got to spend money on this dental issue. There's a lot of things I'm not spending money on that most average people would spend money on. I call that positive. I disagree completely. If I lived a normal life like everybody else, I'd be negative. If I had the subscriptions that people had and the expenses that people choose to spend their money on, then I would be in worse shape. All right. Chile filed a lawsuit against Judge Jimmersman. Oh yeah, I forgot about Chile. I meant to look him up. I looked up Nathan Myers, right? And then I looked up Hendry, because I heard them guys were in jail. And then of course there's the News Now Texas. He's been in jail for a long time already. There's various people who are in and out of jail, guys who've been in jail before me and still are in jail after I've been released. It's interesting to see how their cases come out. Well, no, with washing the hair, I got, I'm going to buy a brush from Walmart for like $5. Apparently you can brush clean it a little bit, and then even use some soap too. Maybe put a little soap on the brush and then clean it like that a little bit, and then maybe use a wash rag. I don't even need a sink, apparently. That's what ChatGPT is telling me. So I think if I brush more, I don't have a brush. And I wanted to make a video about that, but I wanted to get the brush first and then talk about cleaning the hair on the road with a special brush as suggested by ChatGPT. It's recently been going into comparing different products based upon your preference. So I've been comparing products with ChatGPT just on. It goes to Reddit too. Reddit's kind of useful for getting getting opinions. So yeah, Chili wins lawsuit. I don't have any lawsuits myself. I'm just working on trying to get things back in order. I lost a lot of stuff, and I mean I can survive without some of that stuff. Got some replacements, and yeah. So I just made my little argument. That's all I wanted to do. I don't really have anything else to say. I'd like to get back to just being kind of a bum sitting here. So I think I'll stop this. So, all right, I'm gonna stop this.